Today we're going to be taking a look at how to take your drawing that you created and creating a toolpath for it for the Plasmacam. So at this point you should have your design done. I've extruded my model by just a couple inches. You can see here this is 1/8 of an inch just to give it some thickness. And what we're going to do is go over to our design tab. Quickly save this. We're going to go over to our design tab and swap this over into our manufacturing. Now, manufacturing is going to allow us to write something called a toolpath. This will also allow us to output this to multiple different machines. Today, we're just going to be focusing on creating a toolpath for the Plasmacam, which is under the Fabrication tab. So when we first start here, we're going to switch over to Fabrication. On the left-hand side here, you're going to see your project name. We're going to go ahead and open this up and hover over units. To the right, we're going to see this button that says change active units, and we're just going to ensure that we are in inches. It's going to probably be set to millimeters. You want to click on that, drop it down to inches, and set it as your default and hit OK. And that should always remain as such moving forward. From here, we need to create a setup, and our setup just basically allows the machine to know exactly what we're cutting, where we're cutting it, and allows us to set our origin, or the 0, point. On the top left, I'm going to go ahead and click Setup. Now, what I'm going to do is click on the back left-hand side over here, and right now you can see my x-axis is correct. It's going horizontally with my item. But my y-axis is facing the wrong way. I want my y-axis to run this way, or up along the side of my object. Now, depending on how you guys drew this out, you may not need to do this. Yours might be fine. So if your x-axis reads horizontally, running with your stock, and your y-axis runs along the side of your stock, you're fine. And then your z-axis runs upwards. If not, we could change the orientation by clicking select X and Y axis, and this will allow me to reset these. My X axis is fine. My Y axis needs to run on the blue axis here, and then I simply just need to flip it so it's running the other direction. From here, I'm going to reset my stock point, and now as you can see, my origin is on the bottom left of my object. My X axis runs along with the X axis, or the bottom of my stock. My y-axis runs up and down the edge of the stock, and my z-axis is pointing upwards, and everything is on the top left. Alright, next I'm going to go over to my stock menu, and the only thing I need to adjust here, we want to make sure that we are on relative size box, and we're going to get rid of our stock offsets. This will make it so that we have no extra material on the sides and the tops and bottoms. We're going to hit OK. Before you move on, verify that your setup looks almost identical to mine. Your viewpoint might be different. You might be going this way, or you might be on the bottom right of your front view or top view here, which is fine. Well, all that matters is that your x-axis runs along the bottom of your stock, your y-axis runs along the side of your stock, and your z-axis is pointing up. If you are struggling with this, stop now and call me over for help. Alright, now that we have our setup, we're going to go into our cutting profile. We're going to go ahead and select cutting from the top menu here. I'm going to go ahead and select the top of my stock. You're going to see that the stock has now highlighted blue, and this basically is telling my machine this is what I want to cut out. This is the top surface. I'm going to go back over to my tool tab because I need to select a tool. Our tool in this case is going to be the plasma cutter. Now you guys won't see this. You won't see this. What you will need to do is come over to your cutting tools in the inches. Yours will look like this when you first click on it, so I'm using metric as an example. It said library turned off. You just need to select library turn on or turn library on, and you'll be able to see all these cutting tools above. In this case, we're going to be using the plasma cutter. I'm going to go ahead and select that and hit select or double click it, and then we could hit OK. This is going to create our toolpath. From here, we're going to save before we move on. And we're going to come up to our post process. Now, post processing is going to allow us to export our tool or export our code somewhere else. Under post, I'm simply going to hit the folder icon. And up top in your search, I'm going to type Hypertherm Jet and hit select. It's going to ask us to copy our post process into our library. So what I'm going to do is hit choose another location, or I'm going to hit local. If this does not show up, just choose another location and click local and hit select. Copy. Next, I'm going to change the file name. I'm going to call it Wong FabTech period 1. And then in our output folder, I'm going to click on the little folder option and select my desktop. In this case, I would put it into my Sim G code. For you guys, saving it directly onto your desktop is totally fine. So I'm going to select that. Once we're done, we can hit post. A little window will show up. Go ahead and click View NC Code. If that is your first time doing this, it's going to load up a menu and say, do you want to install this? Just hit OK, and you'll be good to go. Once you have this, make sure you save this into the website folder for output, and you're ready for cutting.